song God Sees You on Get Up Mornings. She is a singer. She has a desire to serve people. I mean, like, for real, like, not when it's convenient. She goes to these remote places where there's no running water and no bathrooms, and she stays to help them build. She's a real heart for God. She also is the executive director of Love Changes Lives, an organization that offers spiritual counseling and empowerment and workshops. You have 2 degrees, right? Or 1?
I have 1 degree.
1 degree
in political science, sociology, and Africana studies.
So, see, my sisters are smart. She uses her gifts to help heal hearts and empower souls. Her voice is reaching the broken generation that is yearning for healing. Yes, she is my baby sister, and she's here with us this morning. Good morning, Shante.
Good morning.
So, tell me about the song first, about God Sees You. Why did you write that, and where did the motivation come from?
Wow. So the song God Sees You, I honestly didn't even know it was going to be a song. What happened was I just started thinking about all the different people that I had worked with and what they had experienced and some things that I experienced personally. And I just began to write, what I felt. And I started kind of humming a melody. And I went in the studio and I just sang it, just no music, no nothing. I just sang it, and I was like, okay, maybe this is a song. What is it gonna be? So I just sat and I listened to it, and then what happened was I started having a few friends that I knew that were battling with depression and suicide, and I was like, maybe if they hear this, maybe if they hear the words, maybe it'll help them feel better, Yeah. And I ended up allowing them to hear the song, and they were like, man, I broke down. I just started crying, and I just feel, like God really does care. Like, I'm not the only one experiencing this. And, they really were impacted by the song. So I was like, okay, I have to, really make it a song now. It can't just be me, singing.
Right.
So, yeah. But that's okay with me.
So, I think the lyric "Suffer in Silence" represents what we're trying to do this week with Church Hurt Week. I know there are a lot of people who justify it because they just can't fathom being manipulated or taken advantage of by a leader. In your experience, because I know you've talked to a lot of young girls who sometimes just vent. If you understand the code of what they write on social media, you go, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. What is it that you say to them to help them even begin the process or even acknowledge that there is a problem? Because a lot of people ignore first, and you can't heal something that you ignore.
I listen. Mm-hmm. A lot of times what I found is that people don't feel that anyone will listen. And so not only just do I read the statuses and things like that, but sometimes people will send a DM or, they kind of want to talk to you if they see you just, randomly. And so I listen to them. I listen to what they're saying. And I, like you said, I decipher between what it is that they're saying and then what they're not saying.
Right.
And help them to have an understanding. I know earlier you were talking about the abuse of power. I know a lot of not just young girls, but older women also who've experienced molestation. They've experienced rape at the hand of, people who are in positions of power, and they've had to shut up about it. They've had to be quiet about it. They've had to just not say anything, cover for the other person. And I think that just sitting and listening to them and hearing their story and letting them know, I know this happened to you. It was not supposed to happen. It is not okay. You don't have to shut up.
Right.
You can open up your mouth and say something, not in a way to just try to, expose.
Destroy somebody's ministry.
Right.
Right.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. For the person who's listening who does not know the first step to take, who should they go to? Should it be someone in church? Should they find a traditional therapist, counselor? Or should they just find a friend? Who should they talk to?
I would say in the best situation, I would say seek a counselor or therapist, because they will have the skill to be able to handle whatever your situation may be. However, if there's no one else available, because sometimes people don't have the access to a counselor. Mm-hmm. They may not have the access to a therapist. So if there's someone that is trustworthy, I would say use who's available. Mm-hmm. And I'll just give an example. There was a young lady who I ended up meeting through social media, and she was just battling with just her issues with the church because of the things that she had experienced and things that were covered up. And I would just sit and talk to her for hours and hours and hours. And I would just sit and pray and listen and kind of give her some wisdom, and then pray and listen and give her some wisdom. So here's the thing: everybody is not able to get that therapist or get that counselor. That is, I would say, the best solution. But if there is not anyone else available, you use who's who's available, and you can pray and ask God. And I'm sure there's plenty of people, even with all of the things that go on in church and all the different things that people experience, there are people who are good. There are people who will listen. There are people who will hear what you have to say and can hear from God and can give you a word right there in that moment when you need it.
Please take the advice. I hope you hear our hearts. I hope that you hear that we are not ignoring, but we want to find solutions. You need to be whole. You need to be healthy mentally and spiritually. You need to hold the people accountable in the church that you go to. But listen, do it with respect. I'm not saying go get spray paint the church and say what somebody did, because that's off. Then they're going to think you off. But if you come, you know what I mean, a respectable, write your documents, have your timelines, make sure you have, somebody with you that can vouch for what you're saying, and then try your best to get to healing and to health. How can people keep in touch with you, Shante? How can they find you? How can, they get this wisdom that you got?
Well, I don't have that much, but
yes, you do.
Do I? Okay. Well, okay. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, at It's Shante Atkins. That's ITSSHANTA ATKINS. I'm on Facebook, Shante Atkins, and I'm also on Periscope, Shante Atkins. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, thank you for being on today. I appreciate you. I love this song. I just don't understand why I always have to hear the song on radio first. I don't understand why you don't just come to the house and say, "Hey, big sister, who's a recording artist, why don't you hear my song?" I don't know what this thing is.
Oh, whatever, Erica. You hear it. You hear it. But, I have to kind of make sure that, okay, is it good? And, before I allow you guys to listen to it, just to make sure.
Oh, whatever. We'll be back with more on Get Up Mornings. I think it's good.